guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's Transformers review, we're going to be taking a look at the EARTHSPARK Deluxe class Terran Twitch, a brand new character for this EARTHSPARK series, and what a little belter this show's turned out to be. I wasn't expecting it to be nowhere near as good as it's turned out, and the same goes for this character and the figure. She is way better when in comparison to Megatron, so let's get stuck straight into the details. First of all, I'm just going to smack a comparison image between the figure and the actual CGI render, and as you guys can see, they came incredibly close to capturing the design, so straight off the bat that is a win for me. But as we just home in here on the details, I love the head sculpt. We get these very kind of bulbous alien-like eyes, but they just look super cool, and with the addition of the transparent light piping, actually brings her to life, so I thought that was a pretty sweet touch. We do get these huge chunky turbines, which surprisingly can actually rotate on a kind of mainline deluxe figure. I wasn't expecting that at all. And then as we just work our way down here through the body, again, very accurate, painted nicely. A little bit of kibble here on the back of the arm, but that is literally the only area which I can fault. Other than that, she is super accurate to the show. And then finally, we spin around here to the back. Surprisingly not too hollow either, besides here in the back of the arms. And the propeller blades are actual thick plastic, which I thought was sick. Now, in terms of articulation, she can look up that far, which is fantastic, as well as down. We also do get left to right. These pieces are on ball joints, although something worth mentioning is that when you rotate them, unless you're gripping hold of the chest, it will literally bring the chest with it. This doesn't actually click into place as much as I'd like it to, but these can rotate the full 360, so you can kind of have her in combat mode, charging towards the Decepticons and actually using these propeller blades as weapons, which was pretty cool. Now, we also do get some very stiff ball joints here at the shoulders, which can hinge forwards and backwards, out to the sides. Nice rotation there in the bicep, 90 there at the elbow. No wrist rotation at all, and I definitely think that's something they could have packed in there, but it is what it is. We do get a really sick 360 Exorcist style spin here at the waist, which I thought was cool. And the hips and the knees, they're a little loose. I mean, these pieces are on ball joints, so that's just kind of to be expected. So they will kick forwards that far, back to that far, and out to the sides. Nice rotation there at the thigh. The knees are on pins, so I'm not too sure whether or not these could be tightened. I mean, they will hold certain positions, but I do just wish they were a little tighter, but that's a pretty decent range. And we also get ball joints here in the ankles, but again, a little loose, but they can pivot forwards, backwards, and rock side to side. So overall, definitely a very solid deluxe to accompany a solid character from the show. Loving her. I'm just hoping that we can actually get a deluxe version of Thrash, although the warrior class actually looks pretty promising. Now, accessory wise, she does come with her kind of very Transformers Prime RC inspired arm cannon, which I really like the look of. As you guys can see, that's painted pretty nicely. It can be mounted into the hand and kind of looks as if though it's transformed out of the arm, much like in the show, so I thought that was a pretty sweet touch. Or alternatively, you can come around here to the back. If you move these blades out of the way, we do get two slots here and here that you can just smack that into. So that is a display option, and she is a part of the upcoming Mandroid Build-A-Figure wave, and she comes with some pretty cool pieces. So first of all, we get this kind of Doc Ock inspired many mechanical arm vest thing. I like the way this looks. Initially, I wasn't going to collect all the pieces, but I really like the character in the show, so I may just have to go ahead and pick up some of those repaints. But nice detailing so far, and again, we get this very kind of Doc Ock inspired head sculpt with those massive goggles, looking really menacing. Love the paint and the sculpt work on this so far. Definitely looking a lot more promising when in comparison to the BAF that we got for the Cyberverse wave. Now, as far as a few comparisons go, we have her here compared alongside the Studio Series 1986 Deluxe RC and the EARTHSPARK Warrior class Optimus Prime, which is actually a pretty sweet figure, so definitely be sure to stay tuned to the review. Definitely in that deluxe scale, and of course we have to compare her alongside her wave mate, the Deluxe Megatron, and she is 100 times better. I haven't got my hands on Bumblebee just yet, but looking to be one of the best EARTHSPARK figures I've reviewed in the wave. It's just a shame that Hasbro aren't putting as much budget into this line as they would in the main line. It would be so sick to actually have all of these characters to scale with one another, as Megatron was massive in the show, and Twitch should roughly be, I'd say, a core class, but definitely really nice as far as the deluxe standard goes. Now we jump into transformation, and she's actually pretty complex, I won't lie. So to kickstart things off, you're just going to want to make sure that head is dead smack in the center. We can then hinge it here all the way up just like that. You'll then want to come around here to the back and combine these two propeller blades, so just snap them in there, and these sections will actually tab into a few slots there, so just click that into place. Now what we can do is take this whole chest assembly, rotate this up. Now to me at least, it feels like it's kind of fighting me. I mean, there is a little bit of resistance there, but it will just rest into place. What we can then do is take the biceps, rotate these sections here around on both sides, and then this tiny section here in the center will fold down, and these little tabs are actually going to smack themselves into those tiny slots. So let's just bring these here in upon themselves. Click that in there very securely. Come to this side and rinse and repeat. And now comes the most challenging part about the transformation, that being the legs, as there's a lot of tabs that have tiny little places to slide into. So to kickstart this off, you're going to want to come here to the back, just push this section here, hinge it out. We can then take the foot, straighten this section. You'll then want to rotate here at the thigh, and there is a tiny slot here that this little red tab is supposed to slide into. Now, personally, it is way more hassle than it's worth, so just as long as you've kind of got it in the right position, things should work out okay, but just give that a click, and there's also a tiny little tab here on the sole of the foot that is going to peg into this tab here on the waist belt. So just snap that section in there. What we can then do is slide this tab under that slot. So just snap that section in there as well, and then for some finishing touches, this tab is actually going to peg into a tiny slot which is on the forearm. So just click that in there, and that is basically one side done. So looks a little easy, but trust me, it does take quite a few attempts to get the hang of it. So do the same here for this side. Flip out this section here, fold out the toe, bring this section here around, and just snap the sole of the foot into that tab. We can then come around here to this side, snap this section in there, and then this tab should hopefully peg into the forearm. Bring these sections here down, and then for some finishing touches, basically we bring in her cannon, and there's a tiny slot here at the top that this section is going to tab into just to complete the drone look. So just slide that in there again. A little bit of resistance here for this chest piece, but it should lock into place. Fold down these kind of tiny little stabilizers, and here we have her transformed up into her drone mode. Quite an easy transformation once you get the hang of it. It really is just a couple of tabs which give you a few issues, but overall I really like the way this thing looks. Again, very accurate to the show. I was quite surprised to see just how well done this figure actually turned out. Now, we may be treading into minor spoilers for the show, but I do believe this is one of Wheeljack's personalized drones that she scans into, and I think the details are pretty on point as we take a look here at the front. As you guys can see, decent paintwork, and overall it comes together pretty nicely. We do get these stabilizers here at the back, or at least I believe they're stabilizers. I think it's so that she can keep her balance when in flight, but we can utilize these propeller blades, which I thought were kind of cool. You can have these rotated forwards to actually have her flying into battle again, which I thought was kind of sick, and we do get these additional kind of stabilizers for her to just support herself if she does decide to land. Maybe it would have been nice if they could have concealed the fists into these hollow gaps, but perhaps I'm asking for a little too much. Overall, a very nicely done looking figure. Now, as we jump into a few comparisons, again, here we have her alongside the EARTHSPARK Deluxe Megatron. So, as you guys can see, roughly the exact same in terms of scale if you weren't counting the tip of the propeller blade. And here she is compared alongside that EARTHSPARK Warrior Class Optimus Prime, just to give you guys a sense of scale. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers EARTHSPARK Deluxe Class Terran Twitch. Overall, I really like this figure. Definitely 100 times better in my opinion when in comparison to Megatron. I just think the bot mode design has translated so nicely, and not to mention, it's actually a really nice design to start off with, and she's a pretty cool character as well. Articulation isn't compromised. I think she's actually pretty dynamic, especially if you have a flight stand. You can get her into kind of all of those poses that we've seen in the show. Accessories are nice. She comes with the arm cannon, some pretty cool Mandroid Build-A-Figure pieces, which definitely make me excited for that. Transformation, not too complex on paper, but actually, you know, going through the steps, it can be a little tricky just to line all of the tabs up with one another, but once you get everything in the correct place, it does result in a pretty sweet looking drone mode. So, out of EARTHSPARK toys so far, this is definitely one of the better ones I've reviewed, and like I said, way better when in comparison to Megatron. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below, and as always, I thank you guys all so much for watching. Until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.